Hello, Farlanders. My name is Kurt. Welcome back to Farlands or Bust. This is that's right, an actual episode, an organically grown episode. Episode 820. That's right, 820. For your Thursday, July 15th, 2021. Of course, being recorded live the previous day here on Twitch. Hello, everybody who's watching on Twitch. We just passed 37,000 megabytes in the world save file thingy on the loading page, the game loading page. The page load. you know what I'm talking about, video games. But yeah, we're going to continue walking to the far lands here in Minecraft beta 1.7.3, which also, like, last week or something, and here I am not keeping up with these sorts of things, but like last week was the 10-year anniversary of beta 1.7.3 being released, and therefore the last time we updated the Farlands or Bust game was 10 years ago. So that's interesting. Not interesting enough for me to make an actual, like, note of it, but interesting in that I felt like mentioning it because of the one or two people who already mentioned it in the Discord. Their efforts have not gone unrecognized, let's say. Only slightly recognized, adjacent to any sort of importance. But we're continuing on here, and we're continuing to raise money for charity. Rise above the disorder, that is. We're at... Ooh, you know what? I don't know if this number includes the very last donation we just got. But I think we're at $1,393.21. That might be $1,403.21. Because we got a $10 donation in just before I started the recording. Hello, I see you down there. Whoa, don't push me. The last time Kurt cared about a Minecraft update. Very, very true. That's very, very true. I need wood. Maybe a little bit. I mean, like, I remember when 1.8 came out. I was, like, testing it, and every single world I tested it in just became an ocean when you started generating new land. So, like, that was the primary reason that I didn't want to update. It was only tangentially that we learned that, oh, the Farlands have also been removed. And wouldn't you know it, there's a new terrain update coming out for the real game. For the real game, for not this fake bootlegged version that we're playing. So that's interesting for you, isn't it? Not for me, but for you. Because for me, this is where I live. This is where I live now. Speaking of living in weird places, I went camping for the first time last week. First time ever. It's a question people ask quite a bit since I do like hiking, or I liked hiking. I've been hiking in a long time. I've been out of it. And, you know, the whole Farlands or Bust thing, hidey holes and whatnot, but I'd never actually been camping. I've never slept outdoors in a tent. I take that back. Like, I had, like, in grade school and stuff, like, sleepovers, like, in friends' backyards, in tents and stuff. But that doesn't count. I mean, like, legitimate camping in a campground. Not backpacking. Not wilderness camping. Like, hiking out into the wild with everything on your back and camping. This is a campground. This is what we're going to be doing. The Kurt J. Mac, Wilderness Edition 2022. This is what we're planning on doing a lot during our 2-week road trip where we're going to drive down the coast, through California, out to the Grand Canyon, and then up to Yellowstone, and then back to the Seattle area. There's quite a few of those days we are planning on camping, and it's in established campgrounds where you're camping, 10 feet from your car. But it's still camping, and we learned a lot. I learned a lot, being the first camping experience. I learned that my sleeping pad was terrible. I got one on sale at REI. I thought it was what it wasn't. It was like a combination foam and air mattress, but it was all very, very hard and not good and very uncomfortable. And when I wasn't sleeping, I was in pain and uncomfortable, and I hated it. So I returned that, and now I need to find another sleeping pad. Alternately, since we're car camping, we're thinking we could bring like a mattress, like an air mattress, a small air mattress that we can both just share. I am a side sleeper, and that was the problem with it. I feel like a lot of these sleeping bags and sleeping pads are set up for back sleepers, and those, back sleepers are just murderers in their spare time, as anybody who sleeps on their back. So yeah, I mean, sleeping pads are expensive though too, like $100 plus some dollars. So yeah, I don't know. The girlfriend had one that was more of an inflatable sleeping pad. It had more loft to it. She didn't really like it so much, but I tried it out. I'm like, yes, this would have been much better because there's actually somewhere for my arm to be. But yeah, it was interesting because we also brought Juno along with. This was just an overnight thing, but we're not going to be bringing Juno on the 2-week journey. But Juno did pretty good. We thought she was going to be a bean and be very annoying, because she often is. But I think she was just very tired of the drive and then being out. So she kind of just curled up at her feet and fell asleep, thankfully. Folding cot with a foam topper. I don't think the tent we have is big enough for a cot. It's just a 2-person tent. It's very, very compact. Like, it's the tent that the girlfriend has used for backpacking, camping. She's been before. So I don't know. It's a work in progress. I mean, it's not like we're going to some strange, unknown wilderness. If on the 2-week trip we realize we need something, we should be able to stop by somewhere and pick it up. Although it wouldn't be the most, I guess, money-savvy way to do it. But yeah, that definitely was a learning experience. Also, cooking things is a learning experience. Like food to have. Like we just brought like some pasta and sauce, and the girlfriend, again, a lot of the supplies we bought and have are for like backpacking, so we could afford to be a little bit more luxurious in our camping. All she had was a little mini stove, and it was very mini, and like it just came in a kit with all the like pots and pans and utensils. The utensils were terrible because they folded in half, so when you were trying to stir something, they folded in half on you. So we made a list. We made a list, and yeah, we're gonna have to figure out, because we don't have any sort of active refrigeration. Beans and hot dogs done. The girlfriend is looking to see if she knows anybody who has one of those Coleman burners, like it's a full-on burner set, as opposed to the little tiny handheld camp stove. That might be a better solution. for our needs. The girlfriend doesn't like beans. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot of meats. Tubular meats. Rice. Things like that. Things that just require boiling water, perhaps. The coffee was an adventure too. I did just buy, when I returned my sleeping pad, I purchased a AeroPress Go, which I've never done an AeroPress before, but that might suffice. I'll have to try it out here ahead of time and then just like grind a bunch of beans to bring them with. Oatmeal. We did try overnight oats. The girlfriend was very excited about that, where instead of boiling the oatmeal, you just put it in the liquid and leave it for 4 hours or 5 hours or 12 hours. And that was alright. That turned out alright. Speaking of camping, let's go to sleep and continue in the morning. And awakeness. And awakeness indeed. So yeah, a bunch of learning experiences. Also, I'm a stickler for organization, so I ended up buying a couple of bins from the orange store that fit. I'm mad. They like fit by like there's like a 2/8 of an inch, which is sometimes known as a 1/4 of an inch, in the back of my Subaru, with the seats up. We're gonna put the back seats down, I think, just for more storage area. But yeah, I feel like it'll be better if there's like a bin for like all the camping stuff. I mean, you know what I mean, the tent and sleeping stuff. A bin for all of our cooking stuff. Obviously, we have a cooler. And then like maybe find another bin for our like clothes and stuff. And then another bin for like cleaning and hygiene stuff. Bins! Bins all the way down! And now I can see why people get into like building entire shelving, pull-out shelving units in the backs of their trucks or cars or Subarus for their camping. I don't want to be one of those people. Like I'm looking forward to the experience, but I don't want it to be like a personality trait like some people have. And that's another thing we learned, is that there is definitely a campground culture. Like there's a lot of people there who were there who the camping is the event. The camping is the destination. As opposed to the benefit I see to it is the camping just makes it easier to like, okay, I want to go to the Grand Canyon. Well, it'll be a lot easier if I just stay in the Grand Canyon a couple nights. It's an ends to a means. Right? That's right? Was that right? Who knows? Get punched, microphone. They sleep on their back and murder people. You know, that culture. But yeah, like, people riding their bikes around the campground roads that, like, connect all the campsites. You know, they got all their campground games, their bean bags. They got all their hammocks strewn up betwixt trees. And this isn't even like counting the people who have like full-on campers or trailer campers or teardrop campers. Somebody was there with a converted ambulance camper. So yeah, I don't want to be that. That's not on my list of personality traits to acquire. However, if all goes to plan, perhaps it'll simply make traveling easier if I get used to camping. And it's just going to take practice. Like I said, the bins. The bins! I'm trying to decide if I want to deal with the roof rack. I just, like, I see the utility of the roof rack, but then I'm like, I also see the ease of people just stealing stuff off of your roof rack. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know what I would put up there that couldn't be put into the back of the Subaru. Hold out trailer tent. No, and like there are like the rooftop tents for cars, and I've heard that those are terrible. So I got like a huge power bank, a USB power bank for like charging and stuff like that. Perhaps more than we ever possibly need, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, my biggest concern is getting the amount of sleep that I require, which is significant. Camping with Kurt camping. And yeah, that's like another thing. The girlfriend is like, is this something you want to like vlog and share and stuff? I'm like, I don't know. I'm always back and forth about, let's vlog this. Let's bring people along for this to thank them for their support and whatnot. But then I'm like, do I want to bother? Like, do I want to make that a whole thing? And then just add another layer of complexity and frustration on top of this. Monetize all of your hobbies. Because yeah, you search on YouTube and there's like, this is the essential one bin camping kitchen things that you need, or whatever. And there's this whole thing. It's like house renovation YouTube. Not that I know anybody who's attempted to do that. It's just it's a whole thing. Put it on TikTok. Well, that's the other. I don't think we're gonna have signal for a lot of the places we're going. Like we didn't have signal at the place we were at. I did purchase a new chair because the chairs we had were just like the cheap $10 Big Lots camp chairs, that like the accordion chairs, and they're terrible and small. Just record some short videos to never edit together, like the SVX video, like that one, that car that a lot of people don't even realize I owned for 6 months because I never made the video. Ah, humor. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We will see. Well, what else was there? Oh yeah, starting a campfire is hard. Like I was kind of bored. Not really bored, but I was just like trying to think of things to do. I'm like, since we're out here, we can like try to start do a campfire thing. And there are like, obviously the enterprising residents on these country roads leading up to the campgrounds all have stacks and little sheds full of firewood on their driveways, and are like, you know, $5 for this bundle of firewood, you know, for campers. So we drove out, picked up one bundle, and came back. And first of all, didn't bring a lighter, so that's on the list of things to bring. We didn't have a lighter. And my car never came with a cigarette lighter, because that makes sense, because cigarette is gross, and why is that still a thing? So we did have a flint and steel, and we got it kind of going. But yeah, we need to learn. We didn't understand the Tinder and situation. Swipe left, swipe right. That whole thing was very confusing about starting a campfire. But then we also realized we had the camp stove. So it turned into having this little tiny butane camp stove, like a Bunsen burner is basically what it is, and then trying to start things with that. We would get it started, but then it would die immediately. It was also very damp and moist, but and we, you know, having just picked up this firewood from somebody's driveway, we had no idea if it was like properly dried or whatever. But yeah, we had trouble keeping a fire going. So that kept us busy for a few hours. Busy and annoyed. But anyway, I'm assuming most of the places we're going to go are going to have burn bans on them anyway, like a lot of places do already around here. It's just we were on the coast where it was damp and moist, so obviously no burn ban out there. Indeed. So yeah, we're gonna do the dryer lint thing. We're gonna bring, but yeah, again, the campfire isn't the most important thing that we have on our list of things to do. Like, and like, I'm okay with being dirty for a couple days. Like, we're not camping the full 2 weeks either. Like, we're camping a couple nights, and then we're staying in a hotel. We're camping a couple nights. We're staying with some of the girlfriend's friends in San Francisco. Camping a few nights, Las Vegas, camping a few nights. So it's not like we're doing a straight on camp until you're damp. In my experience, it takes a good 3.5 weeks to fully dry out wood in your wood dryers in your dynasty. So yeah, that was my interesting week last week. Was doing that for a few days. And then my schedule and my streaming has been totally ruined and all askew and broken since then. Fantastic. Well, we did get some donations to the charity here, so I can run through some questions here. I suppose. Sounds like fun. Hope you have a great time. I do too. I don't know. A lot of people we've talked to and shared are like, that's a lot of things to try to do. That's a lot of distance to try to cover in 2 weeks. So, I don't know. I'm kind of looking at it like we're trying these places out, and if, like, later on we realize that we're, like, in love with Yosemite and need to go back, then we'll just plan a full vacation going to Yosemite or Yellowstone or Bryce Canyon or wherever these places are that we're stopping. This is kind of just a little hors d'oeuvre, a little amuse-bouche of the various national parks. Let's go to sleep. And awakeness. Wow, my anklesness. I'm fine. Nixel, with your donation, asked, I'm catching up and just started season 6 of Flob. I'll probably forget about this question by the time I catch up, but did you ever watch old episodes of Things? I'm assuming, speaking of campfires, I'm assuming they mean like television? Or do they mean like of my things? Like of my series of YouTube things. Skeleton residue. I mean, we're watching all the old episodes of Star Trek, and we're working our way through Voyager now. Does that count? I just realized I never finished watching The Good Place, so I kind of like picked up on the last season where I'd forgotten I left off. But that's not something the girlfriend was interested in, so I've just been like, whenever I have a chance, I've watched that. But as far as like YouTube stuff, no. No, I haven't gone through and watched old episodes of Things. I don't know. Maybe I should do that. Maybe that would re-inspire me, or something, or get the old nostalgic feelies flopping around. But no, I don't think so. Like the furthest back I go is like I'll watch, like sometimes the girlfriend wants to see the clips from streams that I've had the past week, so I'll like go through those with her. And there are still quite a few of you who like to just clip nonsensical, stupid, non-clippable things. And for that, I hate it. I mean, I did have, we actually did watch through in the long drive when I had my outer space adventure up in the heliosphere, heliopause of the world Because I gotta show off every time we make it to the Sunship's place. Almost. But thank you, Nixel, for the question and donation. Speaking of old things, Memnarch. Memnarch had a question. I've done a fair bit of old school game replaying and game rewatching lately, and your old Tomb Raider replay is still pretty neat. However, do you have any thoughts about playing an old school game that you've never played or watched before? Funny you should mention that, is that I've recently started playing through the Flat Out series. And by playing through, I mean trying out for a day and then uninstalling. Because the whole franchise was on sale during like the Steam, whatever the most recent Steam sale was. So it was like $10 for all the old Flat Out games. We did Flat Out, dang it! We did Flat Out 1 and 2. 1 was alright. There, I could definitely see all the parallels to Wreckfest. 2 I was a little bit disappointed in because it had the speed sensitive steering that you couldn't change or turn off or adjust or disable, which made the game not as fun. I'm told Flat Out 3 is the worst of them because I think like a different developer took over for Flat Out 3 and 4. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, that was something I was thinking of. I'm like, I'm still in this zone where I'm like, there are no good video games ever anymore. So, like, I should play old ones. And like, even the girlfriend we were talking about. Oh, because I was playing the rocket game, the like SpaceX booster lander game, and it reminded her of an old NES game called like Captain Spaceman or something like that. I don't know. And then as it was like, it's regarded as like one of the most difficult games on the NES. And then I told her about like Battletoads. She's like, you should play old like NES games, like with an emulator or something. I'm like, yeah, but even like I wanted to play through Tomb Raider 2 and Tomb Raider 3, but even the like the PC emulator versions are horribly broken and impossible to even then translate to being streamed or captured. So I like that idea, but I also, from a technical aspect, hate that idea. I hate it. If only there was like some reliable way. Oh, just use DOSBox. No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Like that's a lot of these games. If you buy Tomb Raider 1 on Steam, that's how it runs, through DOSBox. But yeah, I would like to, but it's technically very difficult. I mean, look at someone like CoStar who does that and does that the right way, and just all of the things that he has acquired, the hardware, the extra bits and bobs and software and CRT monitors and upscalers and capture cards. Too much. Too much. I don't have... I'm still trying to figure out this whole camping thing. I don't want to start tacking on more expensive hobbies. And I'm like also thinking about like my astronomy. What's the deal with astronomy? I haven't used my telescope in forever, so I'm like, I should probably just sell my telescope. But then I'm like, well, maybe it's just because I don't have like a good mount for it. Maybe I should get a better mount. And I'm like, well, that's $600. And then I'm like, well, the Datsun needs a new starter, so Those first-gen 3D games did not hold up. The main problem is when you play like the original PlayStation or PlayStation 2, is that they were designed for CRT televisions. So when you try to play them on a flat screen, an LCD monitor, it doesn't look right because of the pixels. Because of the pixels! There's too many pixels! I mean, the same goes for the old, you know, the 8-bit, the NES and stuff like that as well. Indeed. Speaking of things that are out of date, Dravir. Dravir just wants us to know that they have been keeping up with the flob.at links and have pointed them at generic points so that they don't have to keep updating them for every random little charity change that I make. So thank you, Dravir, for doing that. Because I mentioned it once during the Flobathon, and then they finally got around. Got my old tube TV ready for Gran Turismo. You did get a tube, didn't you, Cone Dodger? What the hell is that? Some sort of tube TV? This guy. Up until like maybe 11 years ago, no, even less than that, maybe even 10 years ago, I had a gigantic, like 75-pound, 32-inch television tube. It was a tube. It was a big tube television. And I'm pretty sure my dad still has it, because once I got a flat screen, I'm like, get rid of this monstrosity that I've had since high school. If only I had known. Tell us about your huge tube. Uncle Scientist had a question. That's the most recent donation here. Are there any foods you'd like to learn to make but seem too daunting to tackle at your current skill level? I'm not into fancy foods. Spooky noises, fancy foods. Like, I can't think of anything that, like, is like, ooh, daunting. Like, a lot of baking is daunting. Particularly when you add the gluten-free element. So, I mean, like, I'm having a hell of a time finding hot dog buns and hamburger buns. So, like, we did grill brats on the grill the other day, but we just had, like, white bread, gluten-free white blood, precious blood, precious white blood, instead of actual hot dog buns. So, I mean, like, I would like to learn how to do that. I tried once, and they just turned into flat discs of sadness. Yeah, I guess it's more the baking that I have a gluten-free need, but also it's just very difficult to do certain things like that. Let's go over to that island and make the end of the episode hidey hole. I mean, I guess, I mean, like I said, I don't, like, you can make your own pasta. I'm like, but I don't need to. That's that, you can buy that at the store. What is this, some sort of flat disc of sadness? I mean, I did make cheesecake, turned out pretty good. I would like to make again the lemon poppy seed bundt cake that I made, because that was probably the best thing I've ever made in my life. So I gotta get back on that. And I still have poppy seeds. But no, I can't really. Whoa. I mean, much like other hobbies, like, I don't want to get into cooking too much. Like, I'll see Andy, Chef Andy, like, posting a bunch of stuff on Twitter and, like, people replying, look what I made, look what I made. I just don't want to get into that, because then I'll have to buy, like, a food processor and some sort of zucchini spiraler, and it's just, it's too much. It's just, I don't have the capacity right now to be adding all of this miscellany when I can't even with the current miscellany that is gestures at everything. But yeah. That's gonna do it for episode 820 of Farlands or Bust. Farlandsorbust.com is where you can learn more about the series. Maybe. It's probably out of date. It's definitely out of date, but you can also find where to donate to our charity. Thank you everybody who continues to do so. Also, various links to Other ways to support me, Twitch, of course, Patreon, t-shirts. We got a new Not Now Sorry t-shirt. It's all the rage. At least 2 people have bought it. You could be the 3rd. And, yeah. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Kurt. I will see you next time. Tubular meats.